Good evening. The March 20th, 2018 meeting of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners will come to order, and we are pleased to have with us tonight Chief Scott Spencer from our fire department here with us to lead us in our invocation. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledge to the flag.
Let us pray. Our most gracious and heavenly Father, we just thank you, Lord, that we live in a nation where we can bow before you, Lord, with no consequences. We just thank you for that, Lord. We thank you for all the many blessings that you've bestowed upon us, upon this nation, upon this state, and upon this county. Lord, I ask a special blessing on this meeting tonight, Lord, as our commissioners make decisions that will affect our county. Just be with them, Lord. Give them discernment, give them wisdom, give them direction, so that all things will be pleasing to you. Lord, we also ask a special prayer for our first responders as they do what they do, which is to protect us all. Just bring them home safely to their families as they complete their shifts. Lord, we also ask a special blessing for the Henry family. One of our longtime captains, Lord, passed away, and he's in your arms now, and we're joyous for that. So be with his family over the next few days as we commit them to you. Lord, again, we just ask you to bless this meeting, bless our commissioners, and in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief Spencer, for being here and leading us on our invocation. And good evening again, and we are delighted that you have joined us today, and we appreciate your participation in county government. Public comment. Clerk, do we have any public comment tonight?
No, ma'am.
Okay, with that being said, we'll move on to the next item, which is presentations. We have one presentation tonight, and it will be a SPLOST update from Mr. Wade, and he will be giving us an update tonight regarding our SPLOST.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board.
Good evening.
I'm filling in for Rich Bollane tonight, and Rich has some things come up, but we will be doing the March report for you as I move through the presentation. And this presentation will be for the SPLOST revenues that came in January. I'll report on that, and also a project update through February. So with that, I'll get started. This pie chart is showing the project cost by program element, with the fire, EMS, transportation, parks, and recs, and with the program management expenses also. We're currently at about $4.5 million year to date with the program. I expect that will go up as we've moved into this last month of the SPLOST year. We'll see that tick up just a little bit, but it's going to be pretty close for the total year of 2017. And just looking at each department individually, the fire and EMS is about $500,000, and that's probably one of the programs that I expect to go up. The chief getting in the fire trucks here towards the end of the SPLOST year. We'll be getting those invoices in and probably getting them paid by the end of the SPLOST year. Transportation, again, is right at $3 million. The majority of that was resurfacing. So Miguel should be, his expenses for 2017 are probably going to hold about right there. And then Parks and Recs, about $150,000 for Park and Rec. Obviously, this upcoming year will be a big year for them, and we'll see those expenses go up. And with that, this slide shows the dollar amounts per month of collections. January came in a little bit below the 10-month average at $1.89 million. This is a good visual of the 10 months. with November and December being obviously the better months, and then January coming in below that. But if you compare January to all of the 10 months, it's actually higher than several of the other months in 17. So hopefully that's a good sign. You look at that from a positive standpoint, and maybe we'll see a continued increase in the collections to come. And if you compare, this slide shows a comparison with December to January of about 22%, but with December being our largest and best month with the holiday seasons, it's not that surprising. So the total for the 10-month period was about $19.6 million. And if you compare that to the 10-month original projections, which is right at $20 million, we are still running with about a $41,000 shortfall on an average. We're continuing to track that from Moreland Alta-Belly standpoint, very close, and we've done a holistic approach on the program and trying to look at some projects that may be at risk if the projections hold. Hopefully that won't be the case. And as we've talked about before, we'll be looking at possibly putting some money in reserve to have some backup and if they do continue to fall short. This just shows the bond service and payment obligations. We've made the first payment in October 2017, and we'll make the larger payment April 1st. And we'll be looking at about 14% of the overall payment in 2017 that would have been paid out. So with that, we'll go into some updates on some of the projects in each program. The first one is the countywide digital radio system. I was fortunate enough to sit in a meeting with Motorola. They had on March the 8th. They presented it to the city and the county, and TUSA was obviously there. But it was about a half-day meeting, very detailed. They did a real good job of laying everything out and going over the equipment and warranties and the batteries. It's amazing to hear it. And then also did a good job of going over each site and the towers and how they be constructed. Very, very detailed. So I'm sure Motorola's going to do a good job as we get that kicked off and look forward to seeing some good progress with them as we move through 2018. This ambulance the chief had one ambulance we purchased on the SPLOST in 2017, and it's already in service. The fire truck, the ladder truck, obviously sitting out front, and it's quite impressive, as everyone got to see. The one that's showing here is the pumper truck, and it had to have some paint revisions, and it was in wind for a couple of weeks, and I think the chief is expecting that any day now. This is Station 3 renovations. If you remember, we went out for bid for this project, and the bids came in, and we ended up pulling the bids. We're going back. The review committee has met with the architect, and we're doing some value engineering on the project. We're doing a close review of the plans and the specs, and we're going to go in and make some clarifications and make sure there was no misunderstanding. And we're going to put this project out for bid. Once we get the bids on it, hopefully we're going to see a little bit different, a different set of bids. But we've looked at the budget too, and we're prepared to look at it and get this project, hopefully get it awarded once we get the next set of bids in and move forward with it. The fire station signage is pretty much complete. I think there was a sign added, but that should be, those signs should be being installed very soon. And now if we'll move from fire to transportation. The resurfacing program for 2017 was completed. All the work was done, and punch lists were completed, and all the invoices have been paid on it. Miguel and his staff is working with the transportation committee, and will soon present you with a final list for approval. Once we do that, we'll get those projects out, or those roads out on the street for resurfacing. The Riverside Parkway street lights, it's moving well, considering they had, they've gone through a good part of the winter, and they also had some problems initially with hitting rock. But they're over halfway. It's not going to make that March deadline, but with the weather stabilizing, and if we can get some good weather in April, I'm looking for that to come to wrap up in April, hopefully sooner than that. The Lee Road extension is moving. It's showing a completion date of June. I think there's a proposal on the table now to expand that study, but it is moving forward. And the Rock House Road traffic signal, I'm glad to report that they were able to get out there and make good progress through, like I said, some of the winter months. Didn't really have any issues with construction of the roadway, and they've got the poles are up, mast arms are up. I hope to see in the first part of April all the equipment up, and if we can get an agreement with Greystone and get power on it, that'll start a 30-day burn, and hopefully in May we'll see that signal up and in operation. Stewart Mill Road at Reynolds Road, we are working with Jacobs to finalize an agreement. We've got an agreed upon price for them to do the design work on that intersection, and then it'll be presented to the board for approval. If we can get that done and get a notice to proceed to them in May, that is one project we can get under design this year and hopefully get right-of-way purchased and get it into construction the first of 19. John West Road at Bright Star Road, that project along with the Chapel Hill Road project, both of them were let for design services and with Southeast Engineering, and they're doing very well, making very good progress. Miguel and I met with them a week ago for an update, and they've got the surveys completed and provided us with a conceptual of the layout. The John West Road, we expect the design to be completed in June, and with Chapel Hill in early fall. And those projects will move immediately into right-of-way and then into construction. Sweetwater Church Road, Miguel has been working directly with Paulding County. Based on Miguel's comments, I feel like this project's finally moving forward, and everybody's under understanding of what's going to need to be done to get some revisions made to the plans that can reduce some of the impacts on the properties. And once that's completed, Paulding County's pretty close with having those plans completed, and then Miguel can get the design underway for the traffic signal. And we're showing a January completion date on this project. I guess the goal would be to try to get it into this construction season. I know everybody's looking at that one, wanting to get it started. So hopefully we'll get it started this summer. And this is a Chapel Hill Road intersection that we'll be looking at about an early fall completion on the final plans. So these next three slides are our first three sidewalk projects. It's Lithia Springs Elementary, Chestnut Log Middle, and then the high school, New Manchester High School. This is the one that we bid out earlier, and we didn't get any proposals. We did some field evaluations trying to determine if they could be done without a set of plans. Once we'd done that, and we came to the conclusion that it is going to require a designer because of some of the hydraulic that are going to be needed for the storm drain, and we felt like we needed to go ahead and put that project back out for bid, which is what we're going to do this week, actually. Over the past couple of months, we have been able to talk and reach out to some of the local vendors, which has been good, and got some good feedback from them, and I feel pretty positive that we're going to get some good proposals in on this project once the proposals are due. This is equipment for transportation. It's pretty much wrapped up. I think Miguel's waiting on a couple trucks to come in. Outside of that, it'll wrap up 2017. And with that, we'll move into Parks and Rec. Boundary Waters restroom. Carter and Watkins is about 90% complete with the design on that concession stand. Hopefully, we'll be moving real soon into to bidding that project out for construction and get those in and kind of see where we're at with the budget. That's kind of tied in with the soccer field, Boundary Water soccer field lights, which we already have bids on it, so we know exactly what that cost is. I feel pretty sure with the preliminary costs we've gotten in from the architect on the building that we should be good, and hopefully we'll be able to move forward with getting your recommendation for award on both of these projects very soon. The Deer Lick Park tennis courts, that's another one that we put out early and did not get any proposals on, but we re-advertised it, and they were due last Thursday, and we got what looks to be two good proposals, and we'll be presenting those for award, one of those for award in next month, hopefully. And the rec center, you'll have on the agenda is a recommendation for award for an architect for the rec center this month. And then the senior center, we've already taken, it's a little bit behind the rec center. We've already received proposals on the senior center. They've been evaluated. We're wrapping up the final selection on it, and you'll be seeing the recommendation for an architectural firm for the senior center next month. The next two, Bell Art Park and Fair Play, both of those, if you recall, we're doing concession stands on both of those, and we're also redoing all the fencing on all the fields. The design for those are under contract, and we're really just getting started, and we'll keep you posted as that design moves forward. We're showing a June completion date of the building and fencing next June. And equipment for parks, I think Gary's pretty much gotten everything for 2017 too, and he's also, I think, waiting on a pickup. The program management expenses, Moreland Altobelli has, I think, gotten an agreement with Douglas County, working through Bill's office for us to move into 2018 with continuation of the program management expenses, and we're looking forward to doing that and seeing some of these projects under construction. And with that kind of wraps up the dashboard for the projects. And I've just got a couple slides. We've shown these before with business partners of Douglas County and tracking and giving everybody a good view of what vendors we're utilizing in the SPLOST program that are in Douglas County, and continuing to try to improve on that and tracking it. Currently, it's 45 vendors. 14 of them are in Douglas County. 15 vendors are within 30 miles of Douglas County, and then the remaining portions are outside. If you look at the percentages of those that are in Douglas County and then the ones that are within 30 miles, it's 64% in the number of vendors. So that percentage looks good, and we'll continue to try to improve that. And if you look at it broken down by paid invoices for the vendors in Douglas County, it's around 8% and 92% outside. The biggest portion of that 92%, though, is with a company that was within 30 miles of Douglas County. So we'll continue tracking that and keeping you posted as we move into 2018. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Okay. Any questions from the Board of Commissioners? Thank you, first of all, for doing such a great
Sure.
job. Very thorough presentation. Board of Commissioners, are there any questions or comments? All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think David just has
Yeah,
a real quick
okay.
thing.
Yeah. David Good, who is our Communications Director for SPLOST. Thank you for giving us an update.
Yes, thank you very much for the presentation, Terry. Again, my name is David Good, and I do the SPLOST Communications for Douglas County. And you can find all of our information right now on the 2016 SPLOST.com website, or you can go to Celebrate Douglas website and also pull it up there. What we're doing right now is that we are strenuously reaching out to the business community to make sure that we bring up that level of showing local participation. We have companies like JS Roofing that actually completed fire station, I believe it's number 2's roofing. So therefore, we are engaging some of the local businesses that's out here. Also, I get a chance to go over there to the Chamber of Commerce, and they actually on their website have a breakdown of all the different type of companies. So if there's architectural company, I make sure I go in there and I look, and I go up there to the chamber and drop off our information, drop off our cards. I make sure that I go to plenty of their meetings just to make sure they see my face and I get a chance to talk to them. Because when it came back that we didn't get anyone to bid on those 3 sidewalks, that concerned me. So I wanted to make sure that we reached out in every business opportunity to make sure that everyone understood what was going on. As the SPLOST year comes to the end, which will be on March 31st, the new SPLOST year, SPLOST year 2, starts on April 1st. I will end up appearing on DC 23 probably sometime next week in order to talk about what's going on as far as some of the projects that's closed and then our ongoing projects. So hopefully that, we'll get some interaction that way so people can understand that these are projects that we've actually have done. These projects are actually coming to a close. And please excuse my voice, I'm getting over some form of laryngitis, so I apologize for that. And then also, I still have made it out to all 4 districts. I spend most of my time in District 1 because of where District 1 is located, because we have a lot of events that go on downtown, so I make sure that I make it to downtown events in Douglasville, same thing in Villa Rica. I make a chance to get over to the City Council of Douglasville to understand what type of projects they're doing, because they have a nice chunk, such as roads they're doing, transportation projects they have going on. So I make sure that I'm definitely integrated with everyone in the community. And then if there's anything that I can do for you guys as far as getting certain projects and let people in your community know, send me an email, just let me know. And when it comes to the larger projects such as the community center and senior center, I'll be developing surveys in order to go out to find out exactly what is it that the citizens want to appear into those 2 buildings. And at the same time, I'll make sure I send it to you guys in order so you can send it out to your district people on your newsletter. And at this point, that's all I have.
Okay, any questions from the Board of Commissioners?
I just got one.
Comments? Vice Chairman Robinson.
Yeah, I just got one question. Mr. Good, when you're out there representing the commission districts and when you go into areas that you normally don't go into, meaning just a new place, a new space, what is the sentiment that you hear from the public by way of a SPLOST? In other words, again, I'm not looking to script your response. It's more of a, what are you hearing? Do they believe that we are actually, they know that we got a SPLOST? Do they know what's part of the SPLOST? What is it, that first impression when you talk to somebody new, what do you hear?
Usually, such as if I go out to District 1 or go out to District 4, a lot of those people in those communities have been here for a while, so they're the ones that actually voted on the SPLOST back in November. So they know their SPLOST is here. They're just wondering, what are we doing? And so they know we're buying some vehicles, but they're like, hey, when are we going to see what's going on? Because we're having problems over here at this intersection or that intersection. Is that on the list? Is this on the list? So the areas that they end up running into problems while they're going to work or while they're going to schools, they want to know what is it that's coming. So they have more of questionnaires to find out what's going on. So I share with them the little cards I pass out that have some of the projects on there, and then I give them the website so they can see it. And they're like, well, if I have any further questions, I'll contact my commissioner. So those are things I run into when I go out to 1 and 4. When I go to 2 and 3, a lot of newer people have been moving into those areas. So some of them didn't know there was a SPLOST. They said, well, we've only been here for half a year. We've only been here for 9 to 10 months. And so I end up explaining to them what's going on. So if they live in the neighborhood, they really want to find out, are our thoroughfares going to be paved? And if they are going to be paved, or is there going to be something that's going to be sent out? So I usually get those type of responses.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions from the Board of Commissioners? Commissioner Mitchell.
Well, first, let me tell you, I appreciate you, and I know with all the commissioners up here and all the meetings we have, we keep you busy. We kind of keep you busy, which job well done.
Thank you, sir.
My question, or not question, or statement, I guess I'll add, and maybe, Rick, you might want to come up and help out with this. I know we're getting ready to start a TV show that will talk about the projects and what those project looks like, where we are, where that penny splosh dollar is going, and
Yes.
so I don't know if you want to speak to this, or maybe Rick can kind of maybe talk about the new TV program that's forthcoming and what the makeup will be, and but go right ahead. I mean, share
Okay,
it.
well, from my point, it'll be about all the projects that have come to a close within the 2017 first year SPLOST.
Got it.
And then go ahead and talk about what's coming up in the 2018. And then based upon how our conversation goes, or based upon our time limit, then I also am mentioning some of the local contractors we have on, like JS Roofing. And so therefore, that's what it's going to be for. And then anytime we finish up, then we'll see about how we can put the information on the screen if that's something that's possible.
Absolutely, and that is the plan, though. I don't know, our communications director might want to also speak to some of this as well, and then I'll do my closing remarks.
Sure. Excuse me. Basically, the name of the program is called SPLOST, Up to the Minute Updates. Is the working title that we have for the program. SPLOST Program Communications Director David Good is a guest. I'll be producing the show with my team, TJ Jaglinski and Lena Hardy, as well. We plan to shoot it beginning next Monday afternoon. And it's really the opportunity to share with the community exactly, as Mr. Good said, which projects have come to a close. It's very conversational. You're the host, and it's going to be conversational with video, with still pictures of the projects, really informing the public what's going on, how their money's being spent. And we believe it's an exciting opportunity to share with anybody who may have questions and have an opportunity to get their answers provided.
Good. And I'm glad that we're doing this, so that way those that, as you stated earlier, kind of pose questions about what's going on. I didn't see anything. I don't see any actions going on outside of, we got a SPLOST going on, so which I think this is going to be a really good way of communicating to the general public about what we're doing and where these pennies are being spent and the makeup of what it looks like, because sometimes you don't live on that side of town and don't realize that something may have actually happened on that side of town, but because you take a different route, this will be an opportunity for you to see, as the citizens of Douglas County, see exactly kind of what's going on. So again, thank you. We're looking forward to the program. I just want to make sure that we share that with the general public to be kind of sort of expecting that. So again, thank you. And Mr. Good, continue the job well done, okay? Thank you, sir. I yield back.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the Board of Commissioners or comments? With that being said, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Next, Board of Commissioners, we have the approval of the minutes. You have the minutes of the commission meeting of March 6, 2018, and the work session and the executive session minutes of March 4th, 2018. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions that need to be made?
No, ma'am.
Being none, the minutes stand approved as presented. Next, we have a public hearing. But before we start the public hearing, I would like to untable. This public hearing was tabled on February 20th, 2018, so I need to make a motion. Board of Commissioners, I would like to make a motion to untable this. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second to untable this. With that being said, all in favor say aye. Aye. The motion carries, and thank you. We'll start with you, Mr. Valentin. Thank you so much and the public hearing, tab number 4, is public hearing for the purpose of considering amending Section 14-72 of the County Code of Ordinances relating to zones prohibiting trucks with more than 6 wheels to remove a road or roads from the list to establish a truck and passenger vehicle detour route due to the closure of the Mosley Street Railroad crossing. Thank you, Director Valentin.
Good evening,
Good
Madam
evening.
Chair, Commissioners. I'll give you a little background to put this in context. With the widening project of Route 92, there is some construction that is going to need to take place that interferes or interacts with the railroad. In order to facilitate that construction, the Mosley Street Railroad crossing had to be closed, And as a result of that, that Mosley Street crossing was the detour route for the initial phase of the project. Therefore, there was a secondary or an alternate route that needed to be established for trucks in particular. The Georgia DOT does not have jurisdiction on any local roads. They have jurisdiction, of course, on state routes. And because of the timing of that closure, they designated the state routes as the alternate until a local route could be approved. There are a couple of routes that have been discussed. There were meetings initially between the Georgia DOT, the city, and the county to develop those routes. And there was a recommendation initially to consider a detour route that would go from US 78 to north Burnt Hickory Road to Maroney Mill, and from Maroney Mill to Route 92. So that was one option that was discussed at the last meeting. In addition, there was another option that was discussed by the city, the county, and the state DOT that involves traffic along Municipal Parkway from US 78 to Industrial Access to a section of Huey Road and to Malone Road to Route 92. As a result of the consideration of either one of those routes, the local ordinance has a prohibition on heavy trucks using a section of Huey Road or Maroney Mill. In order to facilitate either of those routes, the local ordinance will have to be amended to remove either Huey Road or I should say a section of Huey Road between Industrial Access and Malone, and or Maroney Mill Road from the list to facilitate it. Now that would need only be done until the new route is opened up to traffic. Then the prohibition can be reimposed. There have been a lot of discussions and a lot of proposals. Initially, the route, and in fact, if you would indulge me, if there's someone here from the DOT, they have done some analysis as well. Is there anybody here from the DOT? If not, I will present the information that they found and submit it to us for consideration. The detour that was officially designated by the DOT, where they have jurisdiction, would take traffic to Thornton Road and 278 back around to 92. It's a distance of about 15 miles. They actually took some vehicles out and estimated the travel time to follow that route, which is the existing route. It took them 28 minutes. This is now passenger vehicle. It was not a semi or a heavy truck. 28 minutes in the AM peak. It took them 34 minutes in the PM peak and 31 minutes during the weekend. That's for the existing route. The route that would take traffic on North Burnt Hickory to Maroney Mill is an approximate distance of 3 miles. It took them 8 minutes to traverse that route in the AM peak, 10 minutes in the PM peak, and 8 minutes on a weekend. The other alternate route is the municipal to Malone, industrial access to Malone. That is 2.5 miles, and it took them 6 minutes in the morning peak, 9 minutes in the PM peak, and 7 minutes on a weekend. There's also other complexities that they looked at: condition of the road, the various roads and the number of turns that they had to do. A vehicle would have to do for the existing route, the state route, it's only 2 turns that they would have to do to go around. For the Burnt Hickory, North Burnt Hickory, Maroney Mill, there's 3 turns, and the municipal access, industrial access, and Malone is 5 turns. So that's the information. One other item of information, the existing route is fully signalized at all of those turns. The North Burnt Hickory Maroney Mill would be signalized at Route 92 and US 78. The Malone municipal access does not, would not be signalized. However, the Georgia DOT has indicated that they will install a traffic signal at 92 and Malone to facilitate that detour route. They have also indicated that they will be responsible for maintenance of those, whatever route is approved, if the board approves an optional route. They would monitor and do maintenance during the duration of the detour route, and they would do an overlay at the end of the process to make sure that it was restored to as good or better condition than that the road is now. So that gives you a little background. Obviously, if upon the conclusion of the public hearing, it is the board's decision to approve one or the other route, there would be a resolution to change the local ordinance that would be required. And an item on the agenda later on would be an agreement with the Georgia DOT to where they commit to the repairs and the maintenance of that detour route. With that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank
Chairman.
you so much, Director Valentine. Thank you for all your hard work with this project. I will now open the public hearing. And with that being said, is there anyone here that is for the public hearing, or if you have any comments?
Madam Chairman, I just want to leave down to each one of your commissioners. I mean, I would possibly.
I got it. Thank you.
I'd like for y'all to follow along with me.
Now, let me establish the rules before we start. We have, I'm allowed 3 minutes.
My name is Jack Clower. I live at 5011 Maroney Mill Road.
And I have 3 minutes, is what I'm allowing for your comments. And then I'll, when we get to the 3-minute mark, I'll just ask you to wrap it
My
up.
comments are written down.
Thank you, Mr.
That's why I want you to follow along with me, please.
Okay, let me give my,
I've recently done an impact study, a redneck impact study. I got out. It shows 85 homes on Maroney Mill Road. When I'm talking about adjacent to Maroney Mill Road, where their property touches the road, 85 houses. That would be affected by heavy truck traffic. Several households have school-aged children, and the parents I spoke with are deeply concerned about the buses unloading the children in this heavy truck proposal this passed. You got big trucks running and school buses there. Okay, now bear in mind, 85 houses. 100% of the people I spoke with and canvassed all of Maroney Mill Road did not want added heavy truck traffic on Maroney Mill Road. When I counted the houses on Malone Road, or Malone Street, as I stated in my letter, it should have been road, there's only 21 houses on Malone face the street. Now, I'm not taking in subdivisions. I'm talking on the main route, thoroughfare. Also, from the end of Malone Street, its end, where it ends into Huey Road, is about 500 to 1,000 foot before you connect to Industrial Access Road. Industrial Access has 3 outlets. McIntosh, which if you go look right now, there's a sign that says Truck Detour Route, McIntosh Road, takes you to 78. Municipal Parkway, off Industrial Access, takes you to 78. Then you dead end into Burnt Hickory, take a right, go across the railroad track, you're into 78. That allow these trucks to connect. Also, Malone Road is close to the fire station and ambulance service. Should a large truck catch fire or be involved in a bad wreck. So, if not satisfied with this information, I have another one, just food for thought. Try Brownsville Road off of Highway 92 in Paulding County, since it crosses over to Burnt Hickory, and Burnt Hickory takes the trucks back to Highway 78. Is it possible to meet with Paulding County officials and discuss this option? That's the question, if you don't choose Malone. Looking at all this information, I have to believe that the best and most logical plan is to use the much less populated Malone Street. I believe the county opens itself to many more opportunities for road damage, school bus accidents, and the most concerning possible injuries to the Moroni Mill population. So what I'm basing it on, you got less populated area on Malone Street. The trucks are already doing it down Huey Road, that 500 foot to 1,000 foot to get to industrial. What more could you want? The signs are already up there, truck detour. I'm asking y'all, don't put them on Moroni Mill Road. We can't handle it. The truck traffic, somebody's gonna get hurt bad. We concede the automobile traffic. We get all that from Paulding County cut through. It's a traffic nightmare now. 7, 8 times cars come by before I can get out of the driveway. So I'm asking the commissioners, deny proposal for Moroni Mill Road, use industrial access. It's a no-brainer. You got 3 outlets right there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Clower, so much.
Does everybody have a map laying there showing a diagram how to get it? Thank you.
Yeah, we have it. Is anyone else here to speak for this public hearing?
Yesterday, I tried to say that I was speaking with a forked tongue. And what I meant by that is I was trying to help Mr. Clower out. You did a good job on that, Mr. Clower. He took his time to do all that investigation. And I was really trying to bring some information to the Board of Commissioners. Couldn't help but notice the fire truck out there, Pierce. Isn't it amazing? Fire truck Pierce is putting out fires, and my name is Pierce, and I'm trying to put out fires too. Best fire truck you could buy for 100 years was American LaFrance. And American LaFrance got so good, they ran themselves out of business. So Pierce, I'll be honest with you, I know about fire trucks. I owned an American LaFrance when I was 30 years old. I enjoyed it. But Pierce is the best one you can buy. All right. It's strange that I get involved in some of these things, but I like to bring reality to things. And the reality of it is that I drive around these roads since '68, and I've been living over there on Van Sant Road, you know, with the airplane and all the stuff, for 42 years. And it's really strange when I ran this off that I had a house in Adairsville, and I had a big old building up there, when I thought I wanted to move to a small town. Bad mistake. Don't ever move to a small town. So I didn't move. I stayed here in Douglasville. But I owned a house up there for a few years. And it is strange that I drove the exact way that Mr. Clower is talking about. I didn't even know it. When I told you all yesterday I went out and drove the roads, you know, you drive the way the cow goes. And any of you people that had a cow, you know they went from point A to point B, and they went a straight route. Well, the straightest route you can go here is a little ziggy-zaggy. And ironically, follow me, I-20, that's a key factor. I-20, you come off, you zappy-doo around Van Sant Road, which is mine. You're not supposed to do it. You're supposed to go the other end and come the other way. Go up Midway, and there's a little fork there, but you keep going straight by the school on Hickory. You come up by the Greystone Electric, and everybody knows where that is, so you continue across it. Now, when you go across that, you can go down to the left on Industrial Access. But that's not the most direct route. What you do is you come up, and there was a fork there at Burnt Hickory and Midway. Well, I was no fool. In 1984, when I bought the house, I went that way. And then I went across, and I turned left again. And I accessed 92, and I went all the way to 75 and went to Adairsville. So what he's trying to say, he's trying to bring you some facts, but facts is not enough. Safety is a factor, the children's a factor, and the road is a factor. Now, most of this road is governed for heavy traffic. All right, we know that. And we know somebody went out and drilled some holes last week, at least I was told that, and did what they call a density test on the road. Now, what he's trying to say is this.
Mr.
Trucks
Pierce,
go slow.
Mr. Pierce, you've
Yeah.
exceeded your 3 minutes. We're moving into 4, so can you wrap it up if you don't mind, please?
Oh, I didn't know we had a time limit on the public.
Yeah, I said 3 minutes. You didn't hear that? I've just, as we start off at 3. We're listening. I just want to let you know you've exceeded your 3 minutes. Keep going.
Okay.
We're listening.
Okay. Remember, now, I'm trying to educate you.
Okay.
So the fact of the matter is, that's the way they're going to want to go.
Yes, sir.
If it proves to be the safest route and the most congenial route and the less stops for bus stops, then let's do it. Let's do what he's talking about. I realize Mr. Valentin and the state does things, but Mr. Valentin has the job to do, and he's got to correlate it with the state of Georgia. But we're not either one of them. And I don't go that route, but I'm here to try to let you know that there's some sense to be made of this.
Yes, sir.
And he's done a good job. So give Mr. Clower a hand in this. And I did the map for everybody to see, because everybody wants to come up here and do kitchen scratch. So I did this, and I emphasized the road so we can see it. Now, the road you cut across there to is a flea market. Remember the little flea market right there? Okay, you could put a light there, because the light's gone now. Put a light there. And when you come across the tracks there, there is no other traffic on the other side. That woman who owns that company makes baby clothes, okay? So there's no other traffic. Put a light there, and that takes care of the whole problem. Go straight down that road, hit the industrial access, go straight over the 92, and that's the end of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. It's very obvious that the last 2 speakers were speaking against, so I'm assuming we don't have anyone here for. So are you against as well, sir? Okay, come forth, please. State your name and your address.
My name is Shane Martin.
Hey, Shane.
This is my wife, Laura Martin.
Hey,
We
Laura.
live at 4730 Maroney Mill Road. We've been living there for about 20 years. My business, I have a business on Industrial Access Road that I've had for 22 years. My concerns, obviously, is the Maroney Mill Road is a very curvy road. There's several blind spots that's on Maroney Mill Road. We live right in the middle of 2 curves, one a pretty significant curve that, like Mr. Clower said, these cars cut through from Paulding County over all the time, and they're definitely traveling at a pretty good speed. Many times we look left and right again to pull out of our driveway and then have somebody right on our tail blowing the horn. So my concerns is the trucks that's going to be coming down Maroney Mill Road. They're not really familiar with Maroney Mill Road. They could carry a lot of speed. There's a lot of danger there. I definitely am worried about that. Again, when we having my business on Industrial Access Road, I've seen the trucks carry the other alternate route, which is Industrial Access to Huey to Malone. I've seen that for 20 years. I see no problem in that. There's a stop sign there. There's another stop sign on Malone Road where these trucks would have to slow their speed down. Maroney Mill Road, you don't have that. You've got wide open and you got bad curves. And like Mr. Clower said, you have a lot more people on that road. I just, like I said, with me being familiar with both roads and seeing how the trucks can access the other route with Malone Road and Huey Road, I just recommend that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else here against would like to speak? Okay, we have two ladies coming up at the same time. But you all can, if you want to, you can just stand in line. You can just form a line. Yes. And please state your name and give us your address before you start. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lolita Davis. I'm at 4317 Maroney Mill. And I have to echo what these guys have said before. There are blind spots. I'm right on the street where they let the school children off the bus. And I've seen accidents. As a matter of fact, 3 of my family members have gotten in accidents just trying to turn into my driveway. So I'm definitely against having any more traffic than we already have come on the street. It's just not going to be, it's not good at all. And I'm also a disabled veteran, so I have to take extra care in trying to get out and maneuver and look and things. And there are the blind spots, the kids, the speeding. You know, nobody's doing the speed limit on that road. They're coming through at quick speeds, and they're not looking. I've seen 5 accidents, but 3 from my family members alone. So I'm totally against it. So find somewhere other than Maroney Mill to have these trucks go. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please come forth, please, and state your name and address for us.
Hi, do I need to speak in a little closer? Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Hi, my name is Sarah Marcus. I live at 4357 Maroney Mill Road. I've lived there since 2015, not as long as everyone else. This is my first house. I have 2 children under 5 and a 9-year-old who rides the bus. Also, I'd like to state I've been in an accident on Maroney Mill Road. The first accident that I've ever been in Georgia was on Maroney Mill trying to turn into my own driveway in 2016. So I had my blinker on, and I attempted to turn into my driveway, and just a large pickup truck, not paying attention, totaled my minivan. So now as a result, I have a car payment, which is unfortunate, but luckily my kids weren't in the car with me. But imagine a semi hitting a minivan or somebody, you know, and most likely that might result in death on Maroney Mill with the curved roads. I'm a very busy mom, and even coming here, you know, was difficult because, I mean, the traffic is already bad in Douglas County. And I didn't even realize that many families lived on Maroney Mill until listening to some of the people who spoke before me. But it's already dangerous with small children on Maroney Mill, and with large semi-trucks, I mean, that idea just scares me of what could happen to anyone's children who live on the main road.
Okay. Thank you so much for
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Margaret Sanford, and I stay at 4364 Maroney Mill Road. I have traveled up and down I-20, and they drive real fast. The speed limit at the end of our street is 45 miles an hour. Somebody done pushed the sign down, as I noticed. And when the big trucks are driving our street, I know this young man wants to save the big trucks time, but I have to be real fast in getting in and out of my driveway. And they do drive more than 45 miles an hour. They think they're going down 75, 85, and I-20.
Okay, thank you so much for your comment. I believe we have someone else to speak. Come forward and please provide your name and address.
Yes, we're the Franklins at 4277 Maroney Mill Road. I'm here on behalf of my mother. She's an Alzheimer's patient. She lives with me. And I wanted you all to know that we've been very concerned about having her there because the road is very busy. but we didn't want her in a nursing home neither. And she enjoys living with us. And so we're here on her behalf today to say, no, we don't want the big trucks coming through. We already bombarded now with the traffic that comes through very fast. I think the speed limit says 45. When I tell you they're doing 60, they are. When I tell you now the big trucks are doing likewise, they are. When they said that there were a lot of curves on Monroe Mill Road, it is. We're afraid for our safety coming out the driveway. I'm afraid for my mother's safety because she is Alzheimer's patient and she could get out. And if she venture out from my door, it's about 25 feet from my door to the street, and she's immediately in the street. And we're having traffic that comes so fast down through there with the Alzheimer's patient who don't know to stop, look left or right. It's a very dangerous situation for her. And so I'm here speaking on her behalf and asking you all to please consider that. When they said that it's 85 homes there with families there, elderly parents, across the street from me, there's an elderly parent. To the right of me, that's an elderly parent. There's so many children. There's so many buses that comes through there. There's so many accidents that takes place at the corner of Burnt Hickory and Monroe Mill Road. So many. If you guys looked at the traffic report, you would be able to say that's true. So I'm not sure who made a decision maybe a month ago, February the 20th, to allow these trucks to already start coming through there, but we feel like we didn't have a voice in that. About a month ago, someone came down the street, took our mailbox out, who was going very fast. And so we didn't get the letter which said to come here and speak on behalf of this taking place. But we wanted to be here today, and everyone here has spoke very well. We're asking that you all please listen to us. If you don't know Monroe Mill Road, I'm surprised that you don't know it, because everybody used that as a thoroughway. I didn't know that 23 years ago when we bought that home. Had I known that, I would not have done so. But that was 23 years ago. So now traffic has certainly increased 3-4 times more. If you all don't really take heed to what we're saying, we're asking you all to come out, meet with us. Come out to our street. Come out to my home and meet my mother, the Alzheimer's patient, which could one day easily be either one of you all. But if she steps in that street, it's no way that she would not be seriously injured or killed. And so we are speaking on her behalf and on behalf of the kids that comes through there, the many school buses that comes through there. And like the gentleman said, if an accident takes place right there because the road is so narrow, there's no way to get around those accidents. And those tractor trailers are coming through there very fast, so fast. My ring doorbell go off so many times a day now because the truck traffic has increased. Thank you all for listening to us.
Thank you.
I just want to say that 23 years ago, it wasn't that much traffic at all, but now it's traffic every day. And like she said, someone hit the mailbox and they land on the other side of my neighbor's driveway. That could have been me, my wife, my mother, anybody on top of that driveway. Possibly could have been hurt or killed. So we hope y'all have the good heart to deny this. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And if I may, just for a second, I want you all to just take a look at my mother, who's Alzheimer's patient.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. She don't know to stop at the top of the rock.
Right.
She doesn't know. Please.
Thank you. Anyone else against? Okay. Thank you so much. Please state your name and your address, sir.
Fred Wellington,
Hi, Mr. Wellington.
5081 Moroni Mill Road.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking about accidents, Friday night, across from Mr. Clower's house, there's a car left a road. It traveled 300 feet at least, the length of a football field down the side of the road, went in front of my house, back into the pavement, across the road, took out about 30 feet of the guardrail on the left side of the road, went back across the road, took out about another 40 feet on the right side of the road of the guardrail. My son rushed out to see if anyone was hurt, talked to the guy. turned his head, and the guy drove off. Now, how far he got, I don't know, but his car was in bad shape. My son gave the tag number to the police department. Hopefully they found him, but the guy was flying. He traveled at least between 300 and 500 feet after he left the road. And that's not the first accident that happened in that road. It's not the worst curve on the road, but it's not marked, and people don't realize it's there. So we highly recommend Malone Road.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Martha Haney, and I live on 5004 Maroney Mill Road, just right across the street from Jack. And when I get to the top of my driveway, if I look to the right, there's the curve that he was just talking about that was the accident. If I look to the left, there's a hill coming over. My driveway is totally where I cannot see. And like the lady said, when I start to turn left, I have to go very fast and somebody be behind me. Also, I don't understand why we're already having big tractor trailer trucks coming. I saw about 5 a couple of days ago when I was just sitting there looking out the road, out the window. And I don't understand why they're already coming. So if it's not zoned for big tractor trailers already, then, you know, somebody needs to have already been on top of this. But we just really would love for you guys to listen to us, our recommendations. There's just too many houses. It's the safety, the speed, and like I said, if I'm coming from 92 and I have to wait for somebody coming down the road to stop, then there's somebody right on my bumper, and then I'm afraid that somebody's going to rear end me because they come over that hill so fast. And we just would love for y'all to just try to understand the concern of the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else?
My name is Larry Todd. I live at 4509 Maroney Mill Road. And here recently I had a truck come off the road. There's real unlimited shoulder space by the power lines where we live. Come across, run over our fire hydrant, took the fire hydrant out, and then it turned over in my yard. Well, you know, I didn't get my yard fixed like I wanted it, but the shoulder over there by the power lines is real, there's no shoulder. If a tractor trailer had got off in there, you know, it could come in the house or the next door neighbor's house, and they go a real high speed right there. When they come off the hill, and right there, it's a flat area, and everybody just goes real fast right there. And there's a bad hill as you go on down Maroney Mill. It's got a bad turn in it. And when you come up that hill, a lot of people don't negotiate that turn real good. And I've lived out there for 27 years, and the traffic has been, you know, about tripled since I've been there. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you so much. Anyone else speaking against? With that being said, I will now close the public hearing. Are there any questions or any discussion from the Board of Commissioners? Commissioner Guider?
Yes, ma'am. I did go out there and drive both of the roads, and the first thought that I had was the Malone road, and y'all excuse my voice, I'm sick, but the Municipal Parkway and everything, that's built for trucks. That, and then Malone Street has a divider in it. And there's just a very small section in there that is 2-lane, I guess. I do not drive a tractor trailer, but it seemed like it was adequate, and I think trucks are already using it anyway, coming from Young Refining, the old Young Refining. But when I drove on Maroney Mill Road, the first thing I remember seeing was that curve, and you're going up the hill at the same time, and it's just the thoughts went in my mind, this is just a place where accidents are going to happen, especially in a tractor-trailer, because you know they're going to get up as much speed as they can. And with bus stops all along there, I was very concerned about that. There's no really good answer to this, no perfect answer, but I like the one where you go straight up by Burnt Hickory up to Brownsville Road, if that's feasible. I don't know about going into Paulding County. Do we have to get permission from them to do that?
Yep.
We would?
We would.
Okay. But I'm just prone to agree that the Malone Road is the better route, because even though it's slower for the trucks, that's a good thing. If they can't get up speed, that's a good thing. And you were talking about the red light. There never was a red light to the access to 92 to begin with, so even if the DOT didn't put a red light up, nothing has changed there. So I just yield back.
Okay, any other questions from board commissioners? Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes, okay. Well, let me first thank all of you for coming, and hearing your voice is meaningful, and this board definitely understands your concerns and understand that, and I'm glad you guys understand that there needs to be a route that we need to take. And I think we had this same conversation last time we was here. My first question, though, Miguel, is this. Speed control, if and when and whichever route we take, will there be any speed sign posted and helping the truckers know which the detour routes, which one it is and what that is? That will be done, correct?
Yes, the outreach to the trucking community would be done to highlight the route that was selected. Of course, there would be also an enforcement component to keep them off of the other routes that are not selected. In terms of the speed limit, there would be no change at this time.
Right.
That would require a different process to be followed to do that, but...
so the speed limit would be what the speed limit is posted now?
What it is now, that is correct.
Got it. So the truckers will have to abide by those. And again, and I know you guys understand this, we can't control that. It'll be up to Mr. Pounds, Sheriff Pounds, to kind of make sure he's enforcing those types of laws and to include it as in the city. The same thing with Chief Sparks. So, okay, good. There's a sign, somebody mentioned that it was knocked down. Who replaced that? Is that us? That was on Maroney Mill. I think I heard somebody say that there's a sign that somebody had ran over. Is that something that we replace, or is that something?
It would be something we would replace.
Can we look into that? I mean,
sure.
we'll get to
Absolutely.
that. I just want to, I mean, that needs to be kind of posted and up, and hopefully throughout, whichever route it is, that we make sure the signage is done. The other thing, I must say, Mr. Clowers, you did a good job. With all your details. You good. No, you're good. No, hold on. No, hold on. The hearing, that part of it is over. You've done a good job. You're good. Trust me, you're good. Okay, y'all tell him he can sit down. Okay, thank you. But yes, I live on that side of the tracks. I drive those roads all the time. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And I understand the concerns of which route, not say the better route, but the routes that these truckers will have to use based on the decision that this board's make. So yes, I'm there with you guys 110, and I understand exactly what you guys are talking about. My only concern, and I think we had this conversation before, if by chance we take the route of the industrial route as the detour, using that sliver of Huey, what kind of safety concerns? Because we've got to understand safety as well. I mean, there's a lot of other safety measures as well, but what kind of safety concern will there be for the truckers trying to make just that little sliver that they'll have to deal with? Talk to that if you would, please.
Essentially, they would have to obey the traffic laws. I mean,
Correct.
as they maneuver through the road, they're supposed to be on the lookout for other vehicles. And because of the alignment of Huey as it hits industrial on one side and Malone on the other, if you have a truck or semi pulling out in one direction,
Right.
Another semi or a heavy truck coming in the other direction can probably maneuver through, but have to be very slow.
Got it.
And
got
so that would be incumbent upon the drivers to follow the rules that they're supposed to. But in
Understood.
terms of the maneuver itself, it is certainly doable.
Right, okay, so good. Because that was one of my concerns was with either route, but that particular one concerned me about that little sliver. And you and I had a conversation with ourselves, and we talked with GDOT as well. So we've traveled that route. It works. There are no, what I call safety issues there, because you're saying the route has been traveled, and I'm not overly concerned about how much time it takes or what lesser times it gives the truckers or not. I'm more concerned about the safety of the driver and that community that it will serve, so.
Certainly, they would have, truckers in particular, semis, would have to travel more slowly through that intersection, but it is a viable route.
It is, okay, good. And last but not least, at the end of Malone Road at 92, you spoke about a light. Now, I know with the Highway 92 bypass that there is going to be a light that's there. Are we saying that they're going to put something there now? Or because I don't think GDOT is ready for that intersection right there now, but are they going to put something there temporarily to kind of get through this 1 or 2 year type of run?
That's what they've agreed to. They would accelerate installation of that signal.
Got you.
Now, whether they would do it by way of temporary fixtures and then replace it with a more permanent, that we haven't talked about, but they would accelerate rather than follow the usual timeline of installation. They would put that one up first to facilitate the detour route.
Okay, that's interesting, because there will be definitely a need there, either coming off of 92 and trying to get back on there, because the traffic on that side is interesting. Well stated. Okay, outside of that, so if by chance we decided to take this route, even though Young Refineries already have trucking coming on that Huey roadside, we'll have to still do some type of agreement with the city and make some alterations. Help me out with that whole conversation.
Well, the city has agreed to that route. If the county goes along with it, they are on board with it. So it would not take any additional agreements. Essentially, they would process whatever approvals they need to. They have done some already and indicated to us that that they would, in fact, support if the county selected that route, that they would do what they need on their end. So really, at this point, it would be whatever the county has to do. The city would follow suit, or they may be ahead of us in some respects. And if that is the selected route. Now, if Maroney Mill were to be selected, that would be entirely on the county. The city
That's correct,
would
because that's
not
all
have any
county.
say.
Absolutely. Okay, well, outside of that, thank you again, and thank you with all the conversations that's going on to help kind of get this one right. And we hear you guys loud and clearly. Trust me, loud and clearly. So it's okay. Thank you again. I yield back.
Okay. Any other comments from the Board of Commissioners? Commissioner Guider?
Could I ask you one more question?
Certainly.
Is there a way of putting no-through trucks on Maroney Mill Road if we choose this other route?
There's not a truck.
Essentially, it already is no trucks. It would be a matter of
Is there
enforcement.
signage?
We can add signage. There should be signage out there already, but we could augment the signage. But in terms of legislation, the county wouldn't have to do anything else because it's already on the list of restricted roads.
Well, maybe some signage would help if that's the way the board votes. All right. Thank you.
Any other comments from the Board of Commissioners before? No. Okay. Thank you so much, Director Valentine.
Madam Chair, just before I think Miguel might want to stay close by
Yeah.
whenever you call for the motion, so we
Yes.
kind of get
So
the
we-
motion kind of correct, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Before I call for the motion, I want to seek a legal counsel from the county attorney. Want to make sure we get this right. On this one, because again, I echo the sentiments of the citizens and very concerned about some of the things you said, the winding roads and the hazards, and safety is very important to me as well. But I just want to make sure, because you know we're voting electronically tonight, and I want to make sure we push the right button accordingly. So if you could just review again the public hearing for the purpose of considering amending section 1472. We want to make sure, because when I say, can you explain?
Madam Chair, on this one, because the system is not set up for modifications yet on the screen, what you would do is take an oral motion.
Okay.
We'd have the clerk repeat what the motion was, so everybody's understanding what we're voting for.
Okay.
You'd take a second, if there is a second, and then you'd have any more discussion and a vote. The agenda item just simply puts this on the table. We need to be careful in the motion that we define the right area so it's clear in the record what is being removed, because on either route, as I understand it, it's not a complete removal. Is that correct? Okay.
Clerk, could you make sure that we make sure you know exactly which route? Okay. Board of Commissioners, you have heard the public hearing. Do we have a motion to approve the purpose of considering amending section 1472? And if you could, clerk, please specify to make sure. What?
I believe someone would need to make a
Yes.
motion on which route.
I'll make the motion if you.
Yeah.
Okay, all
Okay,
right.
Commissioner.
That's why I wanted Miguel to stay close. So Miguel, you might want to come to and legal, you might want to
Sure,
kind
we're
of
voting on
follow
it.
me on this as well,
Yes.
so we can get this right. Because we were talking about two streets, and I want to make sure that, well, two detour routes.
Correct.
So clarifying the route, which I want to make the motion for, that will include the industrial Huey, Malone Road route is the one I want to make the motion for, but I want to make sure that legal clarify the motion I'm going to make. So,
Can you repeat? Sure. Based on what I'm hearing on that route, what it is, the exact route, so that he can adopt that language for purpose of his motion?
Yes.
Sure. The route would be from US 78, obviously, to Municipal Parkway, to Industrial Access Road, to Huey Road, to Malone Road, to Route 92.
correct.
That would be the detour route. Now, if that is the one that you will select, then you would be removing the restriction on Huey Road between Industrial Access Road and Malone Road. It's just that segment.
So the motion would be to approve that route and the removal of the restriction as stated by the DOT director.
What he said is my motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
One question. What does section 14-72, does it have anything to do with this? Because that's what we untabled.
Yeah.
That was the last.
Can I answer that? or-
Go ahead.
Yes.
That's the section that has a list of roads where trucks are prohibited. Huey Road is on there.
Is on that list.
So we have to take it off the list to allow the detour route.
Okay,
to go.
so should the
motion's
should the
correct.
motion include that?
I think we've got it, the motion correct.
All right, okay. You're back.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, the same, and the motion carries. So thank you.
Does
so
it
much.
matter, before we move on, while we got everybody here, Madam Clerk, do you understand the amendment to section 1472C as read by motion?
Yes, I understand.
Good.
Thank you so much. Mr. Clowers.
Floor's closed.
Floor's closed.
You did good.
Thank you so much. Next, we have resolutions. There's one resolution tonight, and the resolution is to rename the Douglas County Fire and EMS Department Training Complex in memory of L. Wayne Arrington, founding chief of the Douglas County Fire Department, and that will be presented by Chief Scott Spencer. And excuse my voice, I had a moment there. Hello, Mrs. Arrington. Nice seeing you.
Well, first of all, Commissioners, this is a great honor for me. I'd like to
Chief,
introduce...
if you could just hold on for 1 second. We have a couple of people leaving, and we don't want to miss this moment.
Okay.
If we could have your undivided attention, please, as we present this resolution. Thank you so much. Chief, you have the floor.
Again, I'd just like to say thank you for this great opportunity and to honor not only our founding chief, but also a friend and mentor to me. And this is Miss Dale Arrington. She is our founding fire department mother. Chief and Miss Dale didn't have any children of their own, so they got to adopt the whole fire department. And we're eternally grateful for that. We've got the resolution to read, but if you don't mind, anybody that's associated with Chief Arrington, has ever worked for him, is friends or whatever, would y'all please stand up?
I played ball with it.
That's right. Thank you all for coming out tonight.
And that's just a testament to the number of lives that he touched. It's truly an honor to be here. So thank y'all. So the resolution reads, Douglas County Board of Commissioners renaming the Douglas County Fire Department Training Complex as the L. Wayne Arrington Fire and EMS Training Center. Whereas L. Wayne Arrington served as firefighter, lieutenant, captain, and the assistant chief of the Lithia Springs Volunteer Fire Department beginning in 1964, being newly married to his wife Dale and working full-time at Lockheed while volunteering at nights and weekends for this department. And whereas in 1974, while working as an electrical inspector for Douglas County, he was also appointed as acting fire chief for the newly created Douglas County Fire Department by the Board of Commissioners and directed to plan, develop, and implement a fire protection program for their entire unincorporated areas of Douglas County. Whereas the communities of Lithia Springs, Winston, Belle Arp, and Fairplay were provided fire protection upon completion of station construction, purchase of necessary apparatus, equipment, and the hiring of 12 full-time employees and 100 volunteers. And whereas in 1977, Chief Arrington was appointed as the fire chief on a full-time basis and directed construction, equipping, and staffing of 3 additional fire stations, which resulted in the insurance classification reduction from a Class 10 to a Class 7. He was instrumental in the formation of one of the first regional hazardous materials teams in the state, consisting of Douglas County, Cobb County, City of Douglasville, and the City of Marietta Fire Departments. And whereas Chief Arrington was a visionary who always considered the needs of the citizens as the highest priority, he was instrumental in integrating emergency medical services into the fire department in 1978 in order to provide quicker response to medical emergencies by placing EMS units in the fire stations. And whereas Chief Arrington was responsible for the hiring and mentoring of many of our current firefighters, EMTs, and paramedics who are now in positions of leadership within the Douglas County Fire Department and in other departments in the state. His guidance and leadership were essential elements in making the Douglas County Fire Department the family that it is today. And whereas Chief Arrington implemented a training division for both fire and EMS, as well as fire prevention, fire safety education, and fire investigation divisions. His encouragement, dedication, and commitment to excellence in the training of fire department personnel was unmatched. Therefore, let it be resolved that the Douglas County Fire Department Training Complex shall now be known as the L. Wayne Arrington Training Center in appreciation and recognition of the legacy that Chief L. Wayne Arrington has left on the Douglas County Fire Department. So proclaimed this 20th day of March, 2018.
Right. Thank you so much, Chief, for imparting those words about our remarkable former Chief, L. Wayne Arrington, and thank you as well, Ms. Arrington, for your service. Board of Commissioners, you have heard the resolution to rename Douglas County Fire and EMS Department Training Complex in memory of L. Wayne Arrington. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're going to vote on this one.
Electronic.
Okay. We're voting electronically.
Y'all are
All,
seeing history.
please cast your votes.
We're new at this.
What's the? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yep, I got it.
All right.
That looks right.
There are the votes.
Is it unanimous?
It's a unanimous vote. Thank you so much. And also, we would like to take a photograph with you. We would like to come down and take a photograph with you and all the wonderful people that came to represent and on behalf of the memory of L. Wayne Arrington. Please come forward and we will take a photograph, okay? Thank you. We're going to take it right up here.
And Madam Chair, by the way, today's Miss Dale's birthday.
Oh,
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Thank
Ms.
you very
Arrington.
much. This is a very great present.
We're going to make a couple rows here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Good. You're welcome.
Oh, gosh.
Thank you all.
I'm not going to touch you because I'm sick.
Yep, thank you.
You don't want
Yes,
to
ma'am.
touch me.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Where are we at? Okay. Yeah, thank you,
And
thank
I
you.
ain't
Yes.
worked for the county for years.
Thank you so much. Here we go. Yes. Oh, very good. Have a good evening. Very good.
All right, good night.
No problem. Which one is it?
Just have a
So Kelly, they get it on your big screen now? Is it on your big screen?
Yeah, I got it fixed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Judge?
We got it fixed.
Is Judge Morton, is he anything? He's been back there, I just wondered. Blame it on her.
All right, here we go. All right. We're going to keep the meeting going. The floor has been yielded to the vice chairman. We're going to pick up at item number 6. County Clerk, can you take this one?
Yes, sir. This will be to untable this item. It's authorization to approve an agreement with GDOT in regard to a temporary designated detour route during the construction of the Highway 92 relocation project, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Again, this was tabled from February 20th, 2018, so we'll need a motion to untable.
Okay, the business item has been read. Can we get a motion to untable?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of untabling? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay. Motion carries. Are we supposed to vote? Or?
No, not on that one.
All right. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and move on this item. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Can I get a second? Any discussion on this item? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's keep it moving then. We're going to move on to new business. Starting with item number 7, County Clerk.
Yes, sir. This will be, sorry, authorization to approve the merit system hiring of Anna Upshaw as law clerk to the state court judges of Douglas County, amend the budget, and approve modifications to the job description of the law clerk to include graduate of an accredited law school and being a member in good standing with the State Bar of Georgia.
As to that new business item, Mr. Vice Chair,
New business item. Okay.
As a new business item, we also put, in working with Fred, a requirement that there be no pending disciplinary actions as part of the requirements.
Okay, so the floor has been yielded back to Madam Chair. We're just starting with number 7 on new business item.
Okay. It's already been moved?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. This time, so I guess I'll call for a motion.
Madam Chair, will you do me one favor?
Okay.
With respect, we got Judge Brian Fortner, former DA. I'm going to call him DA here on this item if you need to hear from him. I just want to make sure the motion includes, not only as it's written, but includes the requirement that there be no pending disciplinary action with the state bar.
Okay.
Because we made one modification since this was typed up.
Judge Fortner, would you please come forward, please, and just expound a little more on what we're doing here with regarding to authorization
quiet
for.
in here now.
Hey, yes.
I don't feel near as popular as I want to be.
And congratulations on your new.
Thank you so much. I really
role as
appreciate it.
judge.
Got a lot of partners sitting up there right now, and I really appreciate all of you. But this position, basically, the judges, it's been our practice out here for the 2 state court judges to share a law clerk. As you know, state court is a high volume court. It's a lot of business. We handle probably most of the criminal cases in the county. We handle all the traffic cases. Well, we also handle a lot of the big civil lawsuits. So there's always a lot of issues going on, and a judge can't afford to be wrong. Some of them are, but they really can't afford to do that because it affects people's lives. What the law clerk does is they help the judges do research really in preparation for these trials and hearings that may come up, or on the fly with the things that come up during the course of a trial. You never know if the most complicated issue's going to come up tomorrow when you walk on the bench. And so we have law clerks that help us do that research. And what this is about is to making sure that this is going to be a position that is somebody who has graduated from law school and is a member of the bar, is in good standing, had no disciplinary problems or anything of that nature. So it's somebody who we can trust is going to do credible research for us and do work without, they have the same obligations as us. Judges, we have to be impartial. Their research is required to be impartial and required just specifically to follow the law and the issues at hand. So it's a very, very important position for us. I know Ms. Upshaw personally. She worked for me in the DA's office. She is probably one of those stories we should all know in Douglas County. She was a legal staff assistant in the DA's office working for one of our attorneys and actually worked her way through law school and passed the bar and has been a prosecutor in the DA's office for several years. So she's somebody who's a local person who has really shown that type of initiative and credibility and respect that we would want in a law clerk. So basically what we're doing is just asking to place her in that position. We have a law clerk who's been incredible, but she's leaving, and so that's what this transition is all about. So.
Okay. Any questions for the judge? Thank you.
Thank you
so much for
Madam Chair.
expounding on the purpose of this authorization. Board of Commissioners, you have heard Judge Fortner, and with that being said, do we have a motion to approve this new business item, which is authorization to approve the merit system hiring of Anna Upshaw as law clerk to the state court judges of Douglas County?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just
We want to put that 8.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Just one. With our new judgeship, do we have to call him judge or? But no, legal has one thing to add.
Yeah, I think the motion has to be more comprehensive than just the hiring because we're doing 3 things here.
Okay, I will read
Yeah.
them. Okay, I'll read
And we're
them.
actually added that one part too.
Okay.
So I'll rescind my motion.
Okay.
And I rescind my second.
All right. I'll start over. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to authorize to approve the merit system hiring of Anna Upshaw as law clerk to the state court judges of Douglas County, amend the budget, and approve modifications to the job description of the law clerk to include graduate of an accredited law school and be a member in good standing with the State Bar of Georgia, with no outstanding disciplinary actions pending? Do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion at this point?
Just that one I mentioned earlier, but outside of that.
Okay, well, please, Board of Commissioners, please prepare to cast your votes.
This one has an addition, so it's going to have to be done orally, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
All right. Well, we won't use technology for this particular one. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed the same, and the motion carries. We're excited about our technology tonight, so we're ready to click the button, but maybe on the next one. All right, thank you so much. Next, we have the consent agenda. Thank you so much, Judge Fortner, for coming in. Consent agenda. Just wanted to let you know that all these items are subject to final legal review. Tab number 8, resolution to amend the 2018 budget for 2017 rollover encumbrances and grants and projects. Tab number 9, authorization to approve a contract with Judicial Alternatives of Georgia Incorporation, JAG, for felony probation services for Superior Court, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 10, authorization to approve a contract with Judicial Alternatives of Georgia Incorporation, which is JAG, for misdemeanor probation services for state court, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 11, authorization to submit the 2019 grant application for Family Treatment Court. Tab number 12, authorization to submit an application for the fiscal year 19 Juvenile Justice Incentive Grant in the amount of $160,000, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents, and no match is required. Tab number 13, authorization to award a contract to Sutton Architects Incorporation for the design of a multi-purpose recreation center at a cost of $339,950 as recommended by the Parks and Recreation Oversight Committee, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 14, authorization to approve a change order to the TUSA Consulting Services contract in the amount of $50,000 due to an increase in the scope of work to be performed, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 15, authorization to approve a contract with Terminus to serve as a municipal advisor for Douglas County, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 16, approval of 206 preliminary plat for the Falconwood, Moccasin Point, and Saddle Ridge pods of Anawake Trail subdivision off of Highway 92 and 166 in District 2. Tab number 17, approval of the purchase of Target Solutions training software in the amount of $20,000 to be funded through SPLOST reimbursements from the City of Douglasville and the City of Villa Rica. Tab number 18, approval to replace 2/3 of protective turnout gear in the amount of $266,000 to be funded through the SPLOST reimbursements from the City of Douglasville and the City of Villa Rica, and the authorization to go out for bid. Tab number 19, approval of the purchase of automatic vehicle locators, which are AVL, with mobile internet connectivity in the amount of $25,000 to be funded through SPLOST reimbursements from the City of Douglasville and the City of Villa Rica. And last but not least, tab number 20, authorization to accept a grant in the amount of $11,000 from the CJCC to be used for drug screening with the DUI drug court, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. That concludes our consent agenda. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on any item
Madam
of the
Chair.
consent agenda? Commissioner Robinson, Vice Chairman.
I just have one, Director Hallman, number 15. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you speak to just a little bit about what this is about, just for the record, and I'll give my comments?
Yes, absolutely. We're asking the approval to engage Terminus Services on a retainer contract at $4,000 per month for duties mentioned in the contract, which includes a financial preparation of any financial feasibility analysis with respect to any new projects, any advice on investment strategies, financial controls, also any kind of special projects that they would do. One being, Madam Chair has posed some interest in looking at the current tax abatements that the county has, and do a thorough review of those by working with the Development Authority, the tax assessors and tax appraisal department, tax commissioner, and maybe the businesses themselves that have the abatements to kind of get an overall more thorough, detailed view. They would also assist us in the second phase of the master capital improvement planning for Douglas County, which would look out 5 to 10 years for capital investments. So we would be able to incorporate that in the model that they assisted with us on phase 1 of the project. They were our municipal advisor when we went out for the SPLOST bonds as well, and we were pleased with their service, and we're just asking to continue this relationship with them.
Okay. Thank you for that. Just for background, and I just want to sort of echo the comments coming out of last year, going to New York, representatives from Douglas County. We had a good experience. We had a successful SPLOST issuance and or bond issuance for our SPLOST. And one of the things that came out of that was this whole notion of improving our financial approach. And long-term capital planning process, a policy were two things that we sort of acknowledged that we could do better. And here we are, full circle, almost a year this month, that the SPLOST began, that we have this process. I wanted to emphasize the need that do we do a good job of probably doing we do a great job in the annual budgeting process. I think we do a good job in the comprehensive planning and its update, but there's something in between. I think this process, this group will help us do, which is align the money that goes along with that, because it's great to have a fantastic plan, but if you don't have the realized money that can support that, then it's just a nice plan. We've kicked the bucket. That being said, I want to acknowledge that the second thing is, can you tell me a little bit about why, we'll dig a little bit deeper, and this is my last question, why abatements were important? Why go look at that?
Because we feel like, to nobody's fault, it's just everybody, each party that's involved is kind of looking at their part and not looking at it as a whole. The Development Authority is looking at their part and engaging the businesses to come here to Douglas County, provide the abatement if they meet the requirements. Tax appraisal or assessors are doing their part of making sure it's on the digest or not on the digest or is abated, how much of it is abated. And of course the tax commissioner bills based upon what the information they get from the tax office. So this would take all of those parties and bring them together to make sure that the abatements that are given, the promises are kept, the stipulations are met, and make sure that there's no money on the table that's being left on the table because of an oversight. Maybe the abatement was for a particular amount of an investment into the county. Maybe that company invested more than what the abatement allowed. Well, that investment that was over and above the abatement would be taxable. So it's looking at things like that, just making sure that we trust but verify is what it boils down to.
And this is a process that which, to your point, and I'm going to leave it there, is it the Development Authority's responsibility to oversee that, or really you see it part of ours as the governing body here at the local level that's responsible for oversight in this? Because there's a lot of moving parts here, but who's ultimately responsible for ensuring that what was cut as a deal is realized?
I would say probably the vested interest would be more into the county because we're the ones that are getting the funds or giving the abatement, so we have something to give, and we're vested into that. But I do see it as a teamwork. We can't do it without the Development Authority pitching in and helping us out. Like I've said before, with the comprehensive annual financial report, just recently last year we had to incorporate GASB 77, which made us, in the notes to our financial statements, give an overall picture of our abatements, but not down to the nitty-gritty that we're hoping that this special project would be doing. So it would also, in turn, help that reporting part as well, as getting somebody involved that would put it all together as one cohesive unit to make sure that all the checks and balances are in play.
Very good. I yield, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Guider?
Yes, Ms. Hallman, when I was tax commissioner, I kept up with each one of the abatements, the percentage that it was supposed to go on the digest per year. And oftentimes, I had to correct some of the work coming up from the appraisal department because they forgot to move it up another notch or so. But, and I kept up when year 10, the 10th year came about so that they would not be under any abatement. However, I never kept up with the fulfillment of the employment because oftentimes we're not, the tax office wasn't concerned about that. But if my memory serves me correctly, we talked about this with the Development Authority at some point in the past, that they were going to keep up with the fulfillment of the terms of the abatement as far as employment was concerned. And I thought, they were handling that. So you're telling us that they're not?
I'm not quite sure exactly to what detail that they're tracking to make sure, but I do know that they've expressed that they're primarily responsible for getting, the businesses here, and if they qualify for the abatement.
Then they wash their hands of it.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Well, no, but we had this, the board had this discussion in the past with them about keeping up with how many employees they hired. Was it over? Was it under? What if they were under? Did they lose their abatement? We had this conversation in the past since I've been on the board. So somebody may have dropped the ball with them. So they need to certainly keep up with those terms because they're the only ones that would know how many employees the companies have hired and they have not hired. So, but I always kept up with the year and the percentage of the thing.
And what I think too, part of this project is to get us to where we have a baseline. This is what we have at this moment. These are the parameters for each one, and then maybe going from that going forward, we can say, okay, and I'm just speculating here, this would be the section that the tax commissioner would keep track of, or the appraisal department would keep track of, and maybe we would reach out.
It's supposed to be with the appraisal department,
right.
I think. The percentage is.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And then maybe the employment, that may be something, if we feel like that we really don't have the connections with the businesses, maybe that's where we would ask the Development Authority, hey, if you wouldn't mind, would you take this part of it and verify these numbers and maybe come up with a process so that everybody's looking at it at one final report, whether it be year end or somewhere during the year, to say, okay, everything's been checked off and these are some areas. Because I think right now it's like, well, I don't think I'm doing it.
We got the business. That's all we were concerned about. But we have talked about this, and I'm going to research the minutes and find it. Anyway, I yield back.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the Board of Commissioners? Please, number 16, the approval I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Director Hallman. Is anyone here to speak on the approval of the 206 lot preliminary plats? I believe you are. Oh, come forward. Yeah. Ron Roberts, our manager of planning and zoning. I didn't see you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Yes, this was, this property goes back a long ways. It was interesting looking it up. But this is actually the final piece. Final 3 pods are the Falconwood, Moccasin Point, and Saddle Ridge for the Anawiki Trail subdivision. There are 206 lots. It's 119 acres of the 714 acres that was originally zoned as a PUD in 1973. And we do have Howard here to represent LGI Homes for any questions on this particular item.
Mr. Ray, would you please come forward and just enlighten us about this project?
Yes, ma'am. Howard Ray.
Howard.
HRC 6554 East Church Street. Just as a quick recap, this is the final phases of Anawake, the project that started, I think, in the late 90s on the east side, started in the 2000s. This is actually the pod that got shut down due to the sewer moratorium with WSA as they were transitioning their sewer from the south side over to the south central. So moratorium stopped this project. 2 years later, the crash that we all saw happen. So now this project is moving forward, and this will be the final phases of this property.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you.
As well, Director Roberts. Okay. With that being said, we have a motion and a second, and we've had our discussion. We have a motion and second, and please prepare to cast your votes. Commissioners? Okay. All right. The vote is unanimous to approve the consent agenda. Thank you so much. Next, we have the approval of the expenses. Commissioners, you read your expenses yesterday and also today, and I asked that you look over those expenses, and we did so. Do we have a motion to approve the expenses?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes to approve the expenses. Okay, we have a unanimous approval of the expenses. Next, we have the announcements. I will ask our communication director to please come up and read our announcements, and as we
Good evening, Madam Chair, Board of Commissioners. This evening's announcements begin with Keep Douglas County Beautiful. Needs volunteers to help with the first ever Douglas County Community Litter Index on Thursday, March 22nd at 1 p.m. The Litter Index will be an annual event where volunteers evaluate Douglas County to assess the litter in the areas outside the city of Douglasville limits. If you're interested in volunteering for this event, please contact Keep Douglas County Beautiful at 770-920-7436 or email tstewartstanley@co.douglas.ga.us. A reminder that Youth Art Month is being celebrated now until March 27th on the third floor of the Douglas County Courthouse here, the Art Gallery area. Artwork from schools all over Douglas County is being showcased. The public is invited to visit the Art Gallery during normal business hours from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. For information, you can contact yours truly at 770-920-7303 or email me at rickmartin@co.douglas.ga.us. There will be an alcohol abuse awareness information session on March 28th at 6 o'clock p.m. in Citizens Hall right here. The session will be facilitated by Dr. Felicia Berry Mitchell as part of her community mental health engagement sessions. For more information, please contact Tiffany Stewart Stanley at 770-920-7436, or you can email her at tstewartstanley@co.douglas.ga.us. The State of Douglas County, featuring keynote speaker, Chairman Dr. Ramona Jackson Jones, will occur on April 12th, 2018 at 12 noon at the Douglas County Courthouse right here on Hospital Drive. The location of the address will be in the atrium on the first floor. For more information, you can contact me at 770-920-7303 or email rickmartin@co.douglas.ga.us.
Thank you, Director Martin. Any other announcements from our Board of Commissioners? Commissioner, Vice Chairman Robinson, I believe you had something. I'm looking at our
notes here.
No, I'll take it from there. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just very quickly, in the next couple of 3 weeks, I'll have 8 public appearances representing 12 communities, beginning this coming Thursday at Silver Creek subdivision. I'll be appearing at HOAs of these respective communities. That'll be this coming Thursday, March 22nd. The next one will be in Anawake, to that point earlier. It'll be next Tuesday, which will be March 29th. And the villas after that, tributary after that, and we'll be do a posting of where those public appearances are. Again, these are HOAs of those communities. These are not my town halls, but these are meetings that I've been invited to come speak to. Just want to give awareness. Madam Chair, I yield the floor.
Okay, any other announcements from the Board of Commissioners? With that being said, thank you for participating in local government, and this meeting is adjourned.